We're live. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm not going to dwell on this intro because this is truly extraordinary. I'm just going to introduce you to, actually, their humility won't enjoy this bit so much, but I'm going to introduce you to some real life heroes, some living legends. So with me today, we have Penn, Farthing, Peter, Egan, and Locke, all joining me live from Ukraine. Gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, Dan. How are you?
Hey, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
So good to see you all. Thank you for joining me. This is the wonders of modern technology. What's the latest?
Hey?
Say again, Peter. You go first.
Just bringing you up today with the weather forecast. It's really lovely and warm here.
Well, I'm glad you have it there. We had it. We had about 24 hours of it, and I think that possibly was summer, and good old English weather. Time will tell, but it's now overcast and about 13 degrees. So enjoy the sunshine while you can.
What is this
Having
so
said that,
what is so extraordinary is to be here in this amazing country with this kind of weather, and it's a war zone. That's the first thing that's hit me. These two guys are used to it to a degree now. For me, as a newcomer coming into this, I'm just amazed at how life goes on in this amazing country. And it's a war zone. It's just staggering. And also the fact, of course, that Penn was here within a month of the war starting, as indeed was Locke, who just stepped out for a second. And just to cover very quickly from my point of view, I hand over to these guys. I'm an actor; I couldn't stop talking. But I just watched Locke do the most extraordinary tutoring on a cat. It was all done within about 12 minutes, and there wasn't a speck of blood. And I just found that rather extraordinary, Locke. It was amazing. Well done.
Nice work, Locke. Thank you for your work. And I imagine you've done that a few times by now.
Yeah, I would say literally thousands of cat castrates or neuters before. It's a pretty simple process for us, but look, it's something that needs to be done, and it's something that needs to be done, in much more increasing numbers, here in Ukraine. At the moment, what's going on.
Right. Amazing. Well, look, guys, the reason.
Dan, Penn, Locke, as I said, Penn was here within a month of the war starting, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's the same for you, Locke, yeah?
It's actually just the first time I met him. This strange man from the UK that I'm obviously from Australia, but I met him. His reputation preceded him before I met him.
That's very nice of you. Thank you. I was actually going to say I've been trying to get rid of him for the last 4 years, but he keeps coming back every time.
What is amazing, what really surprises and inspires me, Dan, is the courage of these guys. I mean, stepping into the unknown as well. I mean, I know that you have had experience being an ex-Marine, or a Marine, of course, a Marine for life, sorry about that. But, to step into this country in a war zone, I mean, it is staggering, I think. I mean, I am so impressed and inspired by these guys.
Thank you, Peter.
Well, likewise. But I have to say, Peter, you're in the same category for us watching from home in the safety and comfort of our own home. And let's be honest, this is not the first time you've done this either, because I remember watching you 12 or so years ago doing the exact same thing in Afghanistan.
Well, that was his fault there, yes.
You can blame anyone you like, but you're all heroes to us, I can tell you that. And speaking of which, just let me say, guys, those of you watching during the live or after the event, at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see the Operation Kramatorsk donation link flashing along the bottom. However, it's just on the screen. It's not clickable. But in the chat, I have put a clickable link. So you'll see in wherever you're watching this, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever it may be, you'll see a link in the chat to that donation link. And I think one of the key messages from today is these guys can't do what they're doing without the support and help of the incredible, generous donation. So please give a click to that if you can support it, and share it as far and wide as possible. That would be invaluable. But the thing is, guys, I have to tell you, from my perspective, and I'm sure the perspective of anybody watching this, is, as we've just been discussing, you're in a war zone. You're in a literal war zone. And where most of us just hear about war and it's a news item. It's a surreal, otherworldly concept we can't even really relate to, and thank God for most of us don't have to actually worry about.
Absolutely.
You guys not only are not directly involved in it, but you've walked towards it, and you've done it because you're so determined to help the animals in this situation. And Penn, you've got a long history of doing this, very high profile evacuation of animals from Afghanistan previously, and here you are doing it again in Ukraine. Like, just give us a sense of what's going on the ground over there.
I want to go back to calling us heroes. Yes, Peter and Locke, yes, they are. They're coming out to a situation where, as you said, they could be caught up in the conflict, and they're here making a very positive difference. But the reason I think all of us are here is the Ukrainian people. They're the heroes because at the end of this trip, the three of us, we get to go home, and I'll be back down the pub in Exeter, a world away from what's going on here. Whereas, Ukrainians have to stay here. There is no escape for them. And sadly, myself and Locke experienced it when we were in Kramatorsk just a few days ago. Every night there are Shahed drones, there are ballistic missiles. And when people do flee, they have to leave everything behind. And for a lot of those people who actually are passionate about the animals, they're given this really hard choice. And it's leave those animals behind because they have nowhere to take them, or stay to look after those animals, and then the risks of sadly being caught up by this conflict. And Russia is bombing civilian areas. We know that because we were stood in them. There were no military there, yet there are still Russian missiles and drones landing in that vicinity. So for us, there really is no choice. It's the Ukrainian people are determined and they are passionate about animals just as we are. So the least we can do is actually get stuck in and help them with their evacuation efforts. And also, very importantly, as we've got Locke here as well, is fighting rabies. Sadly, rabies now has had an outbreak here in Ukraine. So neutering and spaying the animals and vaccinating for rabies is absolutely paramount, because the Ukrainian people not only struggling with obviously this conflict, but then to have to struggle with rabies is just too much. So if we can make just a little bit of a difference with our amazing supporters, then that's absolutely fabulous.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll take you right back to the beginning of my intro to you guys, saying that your humility wouldn't appreciate me calling you heroes. I've got at least 5 or 6 comments I've shared on screen already with people who strongly agree with me and disagree with you. And Penn, you're in amongst it. So we're so grateful for what you're doing. It's incredible. Talking about the situations, the threats. I mean, the obvious one being war, threatening human life and animal life alike. But with the rabies, the parvo, the abandonment, all the various different challenges you face, what does the typical journey, like you rescue a dog under whatever circumstances, unwell, abandoned, all of the above, what's the typical journey of a dog looking like for you guys? What do you do? What's the aim? What do you try to do?
So for us, we're not trying to get dogs out of Ukraine. We're getting them to shelters that are in the west, so they're hopefully going to be safer. Although, sadly, the Russians have hit Kyiv, they have hit Lviv, they hit some of the local towns around Lviv just the other night with a massive drone strike. But it's better than being in the east. And so the other day, for example, myself and Locke, along with a vet tech called Angela from the Netherlands, that was over a 20-hour round trip to collect dogs that were then being evacuated to a shelter that was in the middle of the country in just a little bit safer area. And so that's something we're trying to do with this Operation Kramatorsk, is actually help Ukrainians. So a lot of the Ukrainian volunteers will be driving, but helping them actually hire a vehicle, helping the shelters that they're taking the dogs to build new kenneling space. And then, because they've now got an influx of dogs, actually help them with their food and med needs. So that's typically what we're doing on a daily basis at the moment. Obviously, we've got Peter here to help us just promote that and to actually get the word out on the ground. And then obviously Lachlan, because of obviously his technical skills, to be able to help. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, he was in Lviv University. He had a sellout crowd of vets from around Ukraine, to watch him talk about obviously the latest procedures, the latest policies, techniques, etc. So when we're out now, he's actually got some Ukrainian vets here today while he's neutering that he's also overseeing. So it's all about what we can do to help them trim up their processes and actually make it more efficient in fighting rabies.
Right. Guys, on the broadcast here, obviously this is only applicable to you if you're watching this live. If you have questions for the guys over there in Ukraine, feel free to ask, and I can share your comments and questions with them. So don't hesitate to do that. Peter,
Yeah.
You again, like the humility just of all of you guys is kind of off the chart here. But you talk about yourself being an actor, but this isn't an acting job you're out there on. What inspired you to go?
I think the thing that inspires me with every trip that I make, with Andrew telling, I come out a lot to various countries throughout the world to travel spots, is compassion and empathy and kindness. And those are the three elements that I think direct my life now most positively. And if I could just say, Dan, that my first day here, we visited a cemetery on the outskirts of Lviv. Every day of the week now, a moment's silence, a minute's silence at 9 a.m. And as we arrived at the cemetery, the cars in the street, the people walking in the street, they all stopped and they just contemplate for a minute. And I found it incredibly moving. And then to be in this cemetery with thousands of graves, with the Ukrainian flag marking them right the way through. And as I looked at these pictures of these young people in these graves, the thing that affected me most of all was that most of them were younger than my grandson. And that's the price that Ukraine is paying for this crazy war. They're losing a generation. It is absolutely devastating. And if one can just kind of mark that as well, and of course help as many animals along the way, because as Ken said, I was talking to someone this morning who was right down on the border and wouldn't leave his pets. And people who were leaving left their pets with him to look after them. And you think this staggering commitment to compassion that these people have and care is just amazing. And that's really, in a nutshell, why I am here.
Which is beautiful, and thank you, because you I think, as Ricky Gervais said not long ago when he was receiving the Jane Goodall Award, he doesn't know a more tireless, fearless animal advocate than you, and I think that everyone would agree with that. So thank you. And Locke, sir, you are an Australian standing in Ukraine, spaying and neutering cats and dogs in a war zone. How did this happen for you?
I guess this happened very early on in the war. So I came over within the first month back in at the start of the war. I literally just saw on TV a bunch of refugees, or a lot of refugees, as we all did, screaming out of the country, and I saw many of them carrying their other family members, which being their pets. And I really wondered to myself, this is what can I do? And very quickly I thought to myself, actually, you know what? Maybe I can do something. Maybe I can do something. Maybe I can head over and actually help. And within a sort of 5-day period, I had booked flights and headed over with the initial thought to treat animals on the border of Poland and Ukraine as refugees came over. But quite quickly, I realised that actually the bigger impact I could have would be to head into the country and start heading into the country. So I've been doing that since, and many of those trips have been with Penn, with Nowzad. And it's just an opportunity to be able to help as much as possible. The country of Ukraine is under immense pressure at the moment. The families of Ukraine under immense pressure. Many are having to evacuate from the front lines. Many are having to leave their pets and leave these animals either on the streets or, as Peter was saying, leave it with other people who are just effectively stuck on the front line. So for instance, Penn and I the other day visited an apartment with a family with mother, father and a son who actually had 70 cats in their apartment. and many of those cats
Wow.
were, they were rescuing. They had been left by other people who were forced to evacuate, and these lovely people were staying, looking after the animals, and of course that's what we are there to do, to support them through that process, to make sure that they're not going to get rabies, to make sure that those animals are vaccinated, that those animals are cared for to the extent that we're able, provide food, assist them with these sorts of things. It's a very, very difficult situation. So we're here to help as much as we possibly can, and certainly, to get as much help from everybody about, just makes our impact so much more effective.
Well, it's go
also,
ahead.
Brings in very, very valuable medication and equipment as well. We were discussing that earlier. Just some fantastic equipment that you've brought in recently.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have some good support back in Australia that donate to us, that I'm able to bring here to Ukraine. So I have been able to bring in quite a large amount of Brevecto, which was generously donated by MSD Australia, and of course that makes a big difference to a lot of these animals. Ticks over here are quite prevalent at this time of year, and that causes babesiosis, which is effectively a disease that causes anemia in dogs. So many people, bring these things together, through the assistance, and we really are so grateful, for any support that we receive from all different angles.
Amazing. Well, interestingly enough, guys, we've got a lot of questions. People very, very keen to help. We've got forgive me for not naming you, because it just says LinkedIn user, as you can see. They are so glad that there's people like you in the world, and will be donating and sharing. But is there anything else that the average person can do to help? And that question also came in from Kimberly. As per your question about how can you help right now, the donation link is across the bottom of the screen, as you can see, as a sort of a ticker. It's also in the chat, wherever you're watching. I think you're watching on Facebook. You'll find it in the Facebook chat. Please do visit that link. And Penn, obviously, money is a key thing here, and I know that that's what makes all of this possible. But what, aside from donations and sharing that donation link, is there anything else people can do? I mean, I'm sure there's people left, right, and centre, myself included, that just want to do anything they can to support your efforts. What could we do?
Yes, please. Yeah, and thank you to everybody who is donating or is going to donate. It truly makes a difference. I'll just quickly explain why money is actually the important one. Is because of the logistical nightmare of actually getting to Ukraine. So it's easier for us to actually purchase items. For example, the vehicles we're going to need for evacuation, renting them is in Ukraine. So we can't really bring anything from the UK that will help with that. But other things people can do is share the links. Once they have donated, is tell somebody who's never heard about us or heard what's going on here, talk to them and share those links. And as well as that, is also look for other things that are going on for Ukraine aid. There's so much need here in Ukraine to help the people here as they flee from Russian front lines, as they try and make new lives in the west of the country. So please, they can have a look at all the different aspects of what's going on in Ukraine. It all needs support. At the end of the day, it's not just the animals that we're helping, but by doing so, it's also the people. So people can get involved that way as well.
You know what? I want to say something, and I'm deliberately going to do this publicly, because then you've got me accountable. I want to volunteer to do what Peter's done. So I'm no big high profile actor like Peter, but the platform I do have are a wonderful, wonderful, compassionate group of animal lovers who really want to help, as per the comments in this live broadcast. And so if it's of any use to you guys for me to come and do the same thing by being there, and I'm a filmmaker, so if I can be of any use to you in terms of creating something, I'm putting myself on the line for that right now.
Fantastic, Jan. Thank you. We can definitely
hold me to it.
About that.
Say again.
So we can definitely put you to work. So don't worry about that.
Please do. I think I probably speak for a lot of people, because it's just, it's so inspiring to see you three gentlemen standing there. I think about this concept a lot. In fact, I spoke about it with Peter just the other day on a different subject. we, as in the you know, the royal we, so the wider population, even those of us like myself who are really deeply involved and care very much about the planet and the animals and wildlife, to an extent, our life is very much a kind of we step into that and then we step away from it. And after this call ends, I'm going to be getting on with my day doing some kind of mundane stuff, and you gentlemen are going to be, you'll still be in a war zone, you'll still be rescuing animals, you'll still be spaying and neutering, you'll still be fundraising, you'll be doing all the things you're doing. And I think it's just so inspiring that it leaves people like me just absolutely craving, desperately needing more. Hence my offer, and hence all the questions in the chat. In fact, they're coming in thick and fast. There's more people asking the same stuff. I've got people saying they wish they were a vet, then they could offer their help in the same way as Locke has done. So I don't just speak for myself. If there's anything else that you guys want to add before we wrap up, because I know you're busy men, what's the key messages?
I think if I may just jump in there and say the key message is that no matter how small, every single donation helps immensely. So don't be embarrassed by making a small donation. Just give what you can, because the money is so well spent.
Absolutely. I was going to say, the people back home, if people, they can't be in Ukraine, and I wouldn't want everybody to be in Ukraine. But they make the difference by their donations, by spreading the word, because without that, we wouldn't be stood here. Ukrainians wouldn't be able to evacuate their animals. Locke wouldn't be able to vaccinate dogs against rabies, which would prevent a child potentially catching this deadly disease, which is 99% fatal. So, people back home, whilst they're not here in Ukraine, they are the ones who make the positive difference. And that's truly what makes Nowzad, what makes this animal welfare so fantastic, is the people behind the scenes that we're probably never going to meet who actually make the donation. So for all of you, thank you so much. And I'd like to, if I can, just very quickly, I'm just going to take the camera for a walk. Is that okay with you, Dan? We
would love that. That would be incredible. Please do.
Right. If anybody wants to ask Doc what he's wearing on his head, please feel free. Can you see this, guys?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Who's this? Who are we looking at there?
These are just in the shelter we're here. So these will be some of the dogs that Locke is going to neuter later on this afternoon. I'm just going to walk you around here. Hopefully I won't lose the signal. Hey, buddy. Go on, big dog. Can you see this guy, how big he is? Come on. Come on. You're going to get up? It's a bit hot for you, isn't it? Locke, would you just walk with us with your phone, mate, so I don't lose signal? Can you still hear me, Dan?
We hear you loud and clear.
Here we go. Here we got one. Look, here he is. Hey, big dog. Come on. Yes, hello. There we go.
Some of these dogs look absolutely gigantic. Is that just the angle? Good morning.
Yeah,
good morning.
He knows an Australian when he sees one. Right. Hey, guys. Hello. So a lot of these dogs have been in other shelters across in the east, in other parts of the country, and then have come to this more centralized area, which is at the moment safer. But still, there is always that threat of a drone strike, a missile strike. And this place we're actually in, when Locke first came out here, was actually held by the Russians. The Ukrainians actually pushed the Russians back out of this area. So the people here have sadly been through a lot themselves over the last 4 years.
Pen, can I just clarify something? So again, this is one of those things that's just genuinely extraordinary, because you just talked about this was a Russian occupied area. The Ukrainians pushed the Russians out. You guys have stepped in and you're providing sanctuary for dogs there. And I know I'm, again, probably speaking for a number of people who are thinking, well, is there a risk that the Russians try the aggression advancement heads back towards where you are?
Not for us at the moment. This is, it would be, we'd have loads of warning if they were coming back here. They'd have to come in from Belarus. They'd be heading south. The Ukrainians would be on top of that. and myself and Locke saw firsthand when we came here, sadly, the devastation from that Russian occupation. I don't want to bring the tone right down, but sadly, there were bodies in the streets when we first came here. There's a memorial to Bucha. It was known as the Bucha massacre of civilians as the Russians left. So these people have been through a lot in the last 4 years, yet some of them are still so passionate. They've stayed. They're rebuilding this shelter. They're rebuilding other shelters, and like I said earlier, for us, it's the least we can do is actually be here and try and help them, continue that difference that they want to make. And like I said, at the end of the day, in a couple of weeks, we get to go home and I'll be sat in a pub in Exeter and it'll just be a world away from all of this, but they'll still be here, and that to me is why we come to Ukraine. Well, it is genuinely mind-blowing for me, and I'm sure for a lot of people watching this, because again, you so humbly, Penn, talk about the people who are stuck there permanently, but you've chosen to be there doing this incredible work that you do and did before in Afghanistan. And great point that Diana's just made on the screen, which is, I think, a fabulous addition. Thank you, Diana. Other things people can do is fundraiser by organizing a stall, selling things on Vinted or Facebook Marketplace, make money out of stuff you don't use anymore. This is something I've done a few times in form of triathlons or sponsored mountain climbs and stuff like that. Anything you're thinking of that will help incentivize other people to contribute, you could create your own fundraiser to support Penn, Nowzad, and the team. It would just be incredible. So keep that in mind. Thank you, Diana. That's a great point.
Cheers, Diana. Thanks for reminding me. I should have said that earlier. So thank you.
One of us should. Diana, thank goodness you were here. Guys, we could talk all day. This is truly the most extraordinary broadcast I've ever been honored to take part in. So thank you for your time. I want to let you get back to the far more crucial work that you're doing over there. But I think all I can really say, and it feels so weak in the light of what you guys are doing, but I just want to say a heartfelt thank you to you, because it's genuinely it's to the deep. I think the gratitude is to the point of deeply moving. It's incredible what you guys are doing, absolutely incredible. And I know I'm speaking on behalf of an awful lot of people that support what you're doing. So thank you for taking the time to join me.
And thank you, Dan, for giving us the window. That's really great. And I'll see you next week, probably.
I'll look forward to it enormously. Guys, I think the key message from everyone, on top of all of the thanks, is please, I know it's out of your hands to a great extent, but stay safe.
Yeah, we will. Thank you very much. We truly appreciate you giving us some time, Dan.
Thank you. Appreciate it so much. And for you guys watching this live or after the event, please share this video, share the links to the fundraiser, the Nowzad website, the Nowzad Facebook, Instagram, X, the whole lot. And that great comment that came in talking about wearing a Nowzad t-shirt, that's a double whammy, because the t-shirt obviously provides funds, and the t-shirt is free advertising as you walk around wearing it, raising awareness. So please share this as far and wide as you possibly can. Gentlemen, we love you and we thank you. Oh, look, there you go.
Yeah, I'm going to be
Operation Kramatorsk. Perfect. I'm getting one.
On the Nowzad website pretty soon. So all the money
Perfect.
raised to help evacuate animals from Kramatorsk.
There you go, guys. There you have it. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And I'll see you soon.
Yeah, take care, Dan.
Cheers, Dan. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, guys.